Swear your oath, Moiraine Sedai.
Hey everyone, I am Rafe Judkins, showrunner of The Wheel of Time, and I'm breaking down the trailer for you.
The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.
So this is Moiraine with her hand on the oath rod. The idea is that the women of the Aes Sedai swear that they will never lie, that they won't make weapons with the one power, and that they won't use the one power as a weapon against others, except in the extreme defense of their life. It's something that people may not be expecting to see in the first season, but I think that they will like how we're using it. And here we are getting our first glimpse in the trailer of Moiraine using the one power, which is a very important thing in the books. One thing we'll find out in the show as it continues on is that when men do use the one power, the consequences are huge. So here we can see Moiraine and Liandrin standing up against Logain. And Logain is a really important character in the books that we wanted to bring up earlier in the show, and more fully in this first season than he was in the first book. He's the first man we really meet using the one power. And so to see him play a bigger role on the TV show lets us show what it means for a man to use the one power instead of you just having to read a big description of what it means in the books or a story about it in the books. We can actually show it on the screen and you can understand the consequences of it.
Servants of all. It is they who serve the world.
So here we are looking at the Aes Sedai in the hall of the tower at the White Tower. The Aes Sedai are this group of the most powerful women in the world, and they've separated themselves into different Ajahs, and each of these 7 Ajahs has a focus. The yellows are healers, the browns are interested in knowledge, the greens are the warriors, and so each of them has kind of separated out the way that they interact with the world into these different groups, and they have colors associated with them, and these women they love a color scheme, so they wear the colors that they are part of that Ajah as well. Yeah, so here you can see the iconic jewel that Moiraine has and wears on her head, and we thought it was really important to see it at some point during the show. So when she goes to the Hall of the Tower or has these very heightened moments in the show that are very formal, then we'll see her wearing her classic head jewel.
I didn't choose this path, but I will follow it.
Where next?
The 2 rivers. The old blood runs deep in those mountains.
Yeah, so here we can see this incredible mountainscape with these women walking through it. And I can confirm that every single thing in this frame was shot in camera. There's no VFX here. So it was really important to us as much as possible to try to put our actors in these incredible places, to put as much as we could of the monsters in front of them, to try to get as much of the show in camera as we possibly could to help make it feel real. Because fantasy, I think, when you drop out of it, it's because you feel like it's not real. And so trying to at least give that to our actors so that they could really feel like they're in a real world was hugely important to us.
But there will be one who can stand against him. And it's one of the 5 of you.
Yeah, so this is Nynaeve, who's one of the most important characters in the books and beloved by fans around the world. And she has this iconic trait in the books where she tugs on her braid. And it happens, anyone who's read the books will know that it happens probably more times than you actually want it to in the books. But it was really important to me to get into that show, this iconic moment of actually tugging that braid. And so this is just after she's done something pretty incredible in the show. And it's a tug not only of strength, but also defiance. So we did try to get a braid tug in there for all the fans of the books to see that we did right by our Nynaeve.
Moiraine.
What are those? His army is coming.
This is a great shot of one of our Trollocs, and it was one of the moments that we really wanted to carve out in the show and show off our approach to creating these monsters the best as possible, which is, it was really important to me that they be a mix of practical and visual effects so that you would never... Your brain can't look at this and actually know exactly what is real and exactly what is created in the computer. And the more that we're doing that, I think the more successful we are at creating something that just makes you look at it and go, shit, that's scary, instead of, oh, that's a cool VFX. We really wanted something that had as many real elements as possible to it. And this shot, for instance, does. Like, there was a man there on the day in a suit, like roaring with a weapon in his hand, but there's also some really beautiful visual effects work that's been done onto it to take it and make it something that you could never create in real life. What we're seeing right here, this is actually the city of Fal Dara, and in the distance beyond it, you can see Tarwin's Gap. And just like everything else in the show, we really wanted to do a combination of the practical locations, practical effects, and expanding it with the VFX world. So what you see in front of you is partially shot in the Canary Islands, in a beautiful volcanic plain, partially shot at an incredible brick structure in the Czech Republic that provides a lot of the base of the city itself, and then partially augmented in the VFX world with the work of our production design team and the VFX team, so that hopefully when it all melds together, it doesn't just look like a big computer generated image. You can see the pieces in it that are real. And those little tiny bodies are real extras in a cold Czech winter walking across that bridge.
Our enemies are everywhere. They will leave no one standing.
What's up here now is a shot of Lan, probably more emotional than anyone who's read the books would ever expect to see him. And I think that one thing that we've worked really hard to do in the show is to show this bond between Aes Sedai and Warder. It's a bond between a woman, the Aes Sedai, and a man, her Warder, that is incredibly complicated, and I think is one thing that totally sets this show apart from anything else that's on TV right now, because this relationship is so interesting between this man and woman. And they can actually feel what the other one feels. So to be able to really show that on the show, we didn't want characters just talking about it. We wanted to bring emotion to the forefront for them, see something, I can't say what it is, but that would elicit this kind of emotion from the characters, and see that they feel each other's pain, not just physical, but also the emotions that the other one is feeling, and give light to this really unique male-female relationship that's not usually sexual, that you never get to see on a show of such balance between men and women as you get between Moiraine and Lan, and between the other Aes Sedai and their warders.
We've lost too many people already. I can't lose you.
Yeah, so here in this shot we see some very intimidating white cloaks circling two of our actors, and then there's just an extra we forgot to paint out in the corner of the screen just asleep. No, this is a character that I think we've already announced online, named Aram, who's one of the Tinkers, or the traveling people as they'd like to call themselves, and he has the bright colored cloak that you would normally see with them, with lots of pinks and purples in it. And I will leave a mystery though why he is in the sad little position that he's in this shot.
If we do not stop the Dark One now, the whole world will burn.
Yeah, so right here we're looking at a waygate, which is something that's hugely important in the books as a means of travel between places that are very distant from each other. So there's this world that channelers created that sort of moves between our world. And if you can open up these way gates, you can travel across huge distances in a short amount of time. But there's also incredible danger if you do use the ways to travel. So it's a balance that the characters are constantly deciding whether they want to strike or not. And almost no one ever uses the ways. So in this scene, when Moiraine decides to take our characters through the ways, it is only because there's intense pressure upon her. And once they do walk through that gate, what meets them on the other side is pretty terrifying. Yeah, so in these shots here, you can see Moiraine and Alana and Logain all using the one power. And the great thing about it in the books is that it does have so many complex uses. So we have so much room to go with this one power, even beyond season 1. We're just scratching the surface of what you can really do with it here. And one of the core things that you do see is that when Logain is using the one power, there's a black oily slick that you see coming over it, and that is something called the corruption. And that black corruption is something that drives male channelers mad, and it's a really, really important thing both in the books and in the show, and we had to figure out a way to show it visually. So we use this oily black slick, as it was described in the books, flowing over the one power to show what it means when a man is channeling. So I think that this shot in the trailer is probably one that will generate some of the most online conversation about what it's representing. And I don't want to stifle that conversation by just telling people what it is. So I will say that we try very hard in the show to use something that Robert Jordan used in the books, which was these prologues or out of POV chapters that just show us something totally different than what we expected. And sometimes those are flashbacks, and sometimes those are flash forwards. Sometimes those are something completely unexpected. And we've tried to use that the same way on the show. So I can't say whether this is a flashback or a flash forward or a lateral flash of something that we are seeing happen for a character that we won't get to really know for seasons to come. But I do think that this scene is one of my favorites in season 1. And I hope that fans of the books will be excited when they finally realize what it's representing. So that is it from me on the trailer. I am sure that there's lots more questions everyone has, but hopefully this has given you a little bit of an insight into what we did and how we did it. And I hope that everyone wants to tune in on November 19th to Prime Video to watch The Wheel of Time.
I can't allow it. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills.